based on the best information we can get. And so I've always defended the agency, and I've always, there were issues with our questions about our prior commissioner, but I always thought that we should cut her as much slack as possible, because it is a tough mission. At this point, I'm going to open it up for fellow committee members that may have questions. I see our ranking member has a question. Representative Perillo, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon. It's good to see you again. Thanks for taking time out to chat with me last week. Just briefly, I imagine you're aware of the settlement that's before the General Assembly now, related to the death of a 3-year-old under the care of DCF. It's my understanding, and I could be wrong, but it's my understanding that the employees involved in that are still employees of DCF. Is that correct?
They are.
How is that possible?
So while I was not involved in any of the decisions related to that case,
nor am I suggesting you were. I want to understand.
Mm-hmm. I think the department often struggles with the issue of accountability plus understanding the demands of the casework. And that's where my experience as a 27-year employee of the department comes in, because I know what good practice looks like, and I know how to expect good practice. So I think if we develop a safety culture in which we as leaders create the environment for our staff to do a good job, it's easier then to mitigate any type of human resource issues that involve employees in one reason or in one case or another. It's hard to make a statement with regards to particular staff members or particular cases in a forum like this, but I can tell you that through the development of what I see as special qualitative reviews to understand the serious nature of the work that we do, through our partnerships with our medical profession and our medical providers and communities, that we can have a workforce that can be super proud of the work that we do, but also make sure that kids and families are safe.
And I appreciate that mindset and overarching vision. And I would certainly never ask you to. I would never ask you to name names. That's not where I'm going with this. Mm-hmm. But you're in an agency that has a history of some challenges.
We do. And
I think this particular case is indicative of perhaps why those challenges, in many ways, haven't gotten any less. So, in relation to this specific case, DCF was contacted on 4 separate occasions about suspected abuse to this little girl. And the last time DCF was contacted, a secretary sent the call over to a DCF employee who was on vacation and obviously unable to do anything about that. At the time this little girl was at the hospital in the emergency room, she was discharged and later that night sexually assaulted and killed in the home. So I have to ask the question again.
Yep.
In an agency where we've seen these things happen, if that doesn't get you fired, what does?
I can tell you that while I don't know all the details of that particular case, I can tell you that when I learned, now I've been in the seat for about 20 days, when I learned that the outcome related to specific employees is as you've described, I asked that something be done about that. And I worked with our Workforce Academy to do some individual work with those particular staff members who were involved. And I can also tell you that certain things have been put in place since the egregiousness of the case that we talk about that will likely minimize the likelihood of you seeing something like that happen. We have enhanced our human resources department. We have enhanced our qualitative look at cases that are very similar to that. And that case occurred approximately 8 years ago at the beginning of the previous the previous administration. And respectfully, it's coming to a conclusion right now. So many things have happened in that time frame. But also, I also take a different approach and a more swift approach when it comes to the quality of our practice. So I can't speak to what happened 8 years ago with respect to specific employees. I can tell you what I've done since taking the seat 20 days ago, and I can also lay for you what I plan to do moving forward.
So let's say we have this, and God forbid we do.
Sure.
Let's say we have this same fact pattern.
Sure.
Under your watch.
Mm-hmm.
Would those employees still be working for DCF?
I can answer that question very confidently with a safety culture, which means that there are certain high-risk populations that we work with. There are certain understandings that we have about caseload versus workload. There are certain expectations that I have about supervision, and that the expectation would be that a case that had high-risk factors would be identified early on, and that the supervision of the specific workers that are involved, as well as the management of the workers that are involved, would be expected to carry out their practice in the way that is expected. And when that doesn't occur, we have a robust human resources department that will look to be able to make some consistent decisions related to what happens to the employees going forward.
But an HR department not robust enough to, in my opinion, to terminate, in my opinion, are employees who are probably not fit to work for DCF. They're certainly not fit to care for the population that DCF is designed to care for.
Respectfully, it's a different HR department than it was in place in 2008 years ago. It's a different HR director, and it's a different HR department.
So with that department in place, and now you'll be commissioner in maybe a week officially. I hope so, anyways. What action would you take as commissioner regarding the individuals in this particular case?
I would work with HR and our legal department and the unions that represent the workers who do this job every day. And again, assess the situation on its individual merit and make sure that the department is accountable. Because what I pride myself in is I've always operated in a place of strong practice. And in my region, we've had outcomes that may have not been desirable, but when I look at the work was solid. And if there were areas that we could improve upon, we use that to kind of move on to our next cases. But also, we are our own worst critics. And, sometimes in the court of public opinion, you can't get harder on us than we are on ourselves. So I can sit here, and it wouldn't be prudent of me to hypothetically say what I would do, but I can tell you that when practice isn't up to the standard that I would expect them to tell me why. And I've worked with our HR department, I've worked with our legal department in the 20 days that I've been here more closely than I ever have in the roles that I've had in the past. And I can continue to see that to happen moving forward.
I respect that approach, and I appreciate it. Good luck.
Thank you.